So here we are again, back with Hachzek, Musar Yomi, Baruch Hashem, beginning a new limud. We're almost a year in. Who would have thought? Mesilas Yesharim, Chayves Alvavos, Shara B'Tachin, and now we begin the newest endeavor, which is Pirkei Avos, with the famous and Heilig Pirush of Rabbeinu Yoina himself. So every day we're going to be taking a little snippet, trying to follow the Hachzek calendar. In general, we're going to be reading the Rabbeinu Yoina himself. Whoever hasn't signed up yet, Hachzek has produced an incredible English Rabbeinu Yoina translation. But some days like today, which the Rabbeinu Yoina is lengthy, we're going to pick and choose pieces. So we begin Pirkei Avos, Mishna Aleph. Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. Moshe Rabbeinu accepts the Torah from Har Sinai. On Har Sinai, we should say. Umisara Yeshua, and he gives it to Yeshua. Yeshua leZekedim. Yeshua gives it to elders. Zekedim leNaviim. The Naviim Asarua LaAnshei Knesset Hagedolah. So the progression of Torah Sheba'al Peh, and this progression of Torah Sheba'al Peh continues that hey Amru, they said Shaloisha Dvarim, three things. Have you misunim ba'din, that when you're judging a court case, you should do a misunim. Carefully, calmly. V'hamidu talmidim harbe. You should have many, many talmidim. V'asu siyag la'Torah. And you should make boundaries for the Torah. So today we're going to discuss this hakdama, really, of all Pirkei Avos, which is the progression of Torah Sheba'al Peh. So says Rabbeinu Yoina, Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai. What does this mean? What did Moshe Rabbeinu accept in Har Sinai? Bein Torah Shebechsav, Bein Torah Sheba'al Peh. Both. Torah Shebechsav, the written Torah, and the oral Torah, Torah Sheba'al Peh. Explains Rabbeinu Yoina, Sha'atera b'Veirusha nitna, because the Torah was given with its pirush, Shem Laikin. Because if not, if not, it would be impossible to understand it. A fascinating idea. Torah Shebechsav, the pure words of the Bible, of the Torah itself, would be impossible to understand if not for the explanation, if not for the oral Torah, the Torah Sheba'al Peh. So that as well was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. And he gives some examples, or of Lo Tigzol, it says you should not steal. What does it mean not steal? All damages is learned out of this lav, of this negative commandment, and all these dinim are mid'araisa. Sheikabos Moshe Misina because Moshe Rabbeinu accepted Har Sinai, even though it was not written. And he continues with other ayahs, bein dam ledam, bein din ledin. And then he continues, that what does it mean that with these items Hashem was kaireis bris, Hashem cut for us a treaty, a covenant. Bris zutayr Sheba'al Peh. Really, Torah Sheba'al Peh was always supposed to be orally transmitted, as the pasuk says. What does it mean that Hashem gave us the luchais, the Torah and the mitzvahs? Torah zu Torah shebechsav, the mitzvahs zu Torah Sheba'al Peh. So we're learning that Torah Sheba'al Peh, this orally transmitted Torah, as he's about to show the progression from Sinai all the way down to us, was not meant to be written down, and this is something, but it also was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. Nimseis Aimer, what do we see? Says Rabbeinu Yoina. Everything that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu, b'feirusha nitna, was given explicitly. The haksav hu shenikra Torah shebechsav, u'peirush hu shenikra Torah Sheba'al Peh. So the ksav, the written Torah, that's Torah shebechsav. And then the pirush explanation, that is a Torah Sheba'al Peh. And now he goes to the progression. Moshe limed eskol mipi agvura. Moshe learned from HaKadosh Baruch Hu Misra Yeshua, and he quotes a pasuk. V'Yeshua leZekedim, quotes a pasuk. Zekedim leNaviim, the Naviim Asur LaAnshei Knesset Hagedolah. And this is who's the Anshei Knesset Hagedolah? This is Ezra, a Sefer of V'Siyatai, u'meNaviim ba'Yeshenia b'Beis Asiyah, and all the Naviim of the second Beis Hamikdash, which Amrim Sechas Yevamis, etc. V'Anshei Knesset Hagedolah Masur l'Chachmei Deiram, and the Anshei Knesset Hagedolah gave it over to their dar. The Chachamim gave it to their children, dar after dar, child after child, after father, generation after generation. The Chacham ad, till what happened? This was all oral. Got together. And they had an idea. They all conclusively agreed. And that's of course they agreed to write Torah Sheba'al Peh, which is the Mishnah, is the Gemara that we have. The Kosvu, they wrote it. V'sasmu al Talmud, and they sealed. The Gemara was complete. Once the Talmud was completed, Chasimas Talmud, a very important hallmark in history. The Mefarshim explain how important it is that whatever is part of Gemara has a din of Torah Sheba'al Peh. And afterwards, of course, all Torah that we speak is Torah Sheba'al Peh, but there's a higher level chashivos, importance of the Torah, the Mishnayos, and the Gemara. V'gam adara hu masru l'gayin, they give to the gayinim, and v'yisakabal migayin l'gayin ram l'pi rav ad hayom hazeh. And that's the fascinating and incredible progression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu all the way down until this man, the time they decided to write down Torah Sheba'al Peh, and of course that which we learn until today. We conclude today's shir with the Imam Shleish Dvarim, always the first entity that they taught. Misunin bedin, you should be deliberate, you should be calm, you should be slow when you do Dinei Torah, when you weigh a case. Says Rabbeinu Yoin, it doesn't just mean a bezdin. L'mayrim hayrais, anyone who paskins a shayla, u'lepaiskin as adin amru. And when you paskin, it says lebal yesu machshav rishon. Don't just spit out. Don't rely on your first thought. Achman gedola, great waiting and calm, u'be'ian dak and precise analyzation. Lebal yetu b'shikla das. You don't want to make a mistake. Ki adam b'vayir lo yiris negri b'sheya, says Rabbeinu Yoin. If you paskin too quickly, you're called a b'sheya. You're negligent. You think you're telling the truth, but because it was too fast, it's called negligence. It's almost deliberate. One's heart should not say because this is a very common mistake. You should be careful in your learning because mistakes cause averos. Shlomo Melech says, quotes Psukim about this. Says any Mayra Hara, and the truth is, maybe one's listening saying, well, I'm a Mayra Hara. Realize when someone asks you, what bracha do I make in this? When someone says, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that, when you answer them at some level, that is a din of absak halacha. So don't just spit back, you have to think about it. What do you need to do? You have to let it become chametz, let it become levin, to hold the thought. It has one svara on the next, and pilpul al pilpulai, until you're done din emes la'amitai, because at the second thought, says Rabbeinu Yoin, is such an important line. The machshava shniyah, your yireh leimer mashlei rabbi yishana, you see something you didn't see at first. So anytime, this is really a lifelong lesson. Whenever you're going to answer, the first glance, it's not always the truth. If you think about it, you let it sit, you let it settle, you let it delve. And you rethink about it, you let it become chametz, then you see things much more clearly. And he quotes Psukim to prove this. And finally, we conclude that what does he mean by adin? He continues over it's honing in specifically on dinei Torah even more than everything else, because the ikar gadol b'yediyas ha'aboyre yis'aleh, because through a din Torah you come to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Haskel v'yada oisi ki ani Hashem ve'ich yaskel adam ladas Hashem. How do you know Hashem? V'hu davar nimnach b'zoysi dana. You know Hashem by judging His court cases. You come connected to Hashem, because the dinim are gadol ba'Torah u'mashenishtas ha'ilin koshenember medrash v'shavtu asam b'choleitz. This is after starts the difference, etc. So the important klal of how to judge people, number one, or number two, I should say, and the incredible progression of Torah Sinai is the first part of the first Mishnah. P'siyata Shemaya, tomorrow we'll pick it up in the second part of this Mishnah, which is about Havmidu Talmidim Harbe, or Sin Siagla Torah, P'siyata Dishmaya.